the stocks you're watching today, Thursday, January 15th. Best stock goes in the Discord at 9:30, and this is actually live. So your comments show up on the screen. You can see the chat right here, and we can answer your questions in real time. Should be able to see the live popping up here. And the big news is silver. Silver did top out, it looks like. Of course, no one knows if it's actually going to top out or roll over. But the short metals, long Bitcoin could be in the cards. Texas Instruments just had a big move up. We talked about that yesterday. We talked about Starbucks, which did break out. We talked about Fix, a construction company, which did have a move up, came back a little bit. Baidu, still on watch. Caterpillar, on watch. These are companies that have had big moves up. Baidu, the Chinese Google. Caterpillar, the machinery turned data center engine play. So money is not in Nvidia, money is not in AMD right now. It's rotating into some of these other stocks. QBTS, probably the best play for today, Thursday, January 15th. Didn't think that quantum was going to be in the cards, but it totally is. So it's contracting. In other words, it's very easy to get a position with minimal risk compared to the potential reward right now. So there have been some other construction plays, CRH. There's been aerospace drone plays, AVAV, that even after big moves up are still interesting. As always, just looking for individual stocks more so than predicting what the market is going to do on the whole, because that's really hard. And so individual stocks are a little bit simpler. This is not easy. The best stock pickers in the world, the best investors, the best fund managers are right 30% of the time. So when they're right, they're really right. And that's why it works. That's why you can beat the index. Most people do not beat the index. But the people who do, this is the predominant strategy they use, which is you lose, you lose, you lose, you lose, you lose. And each of those losses are maybe 0.5% of your total fund size, account size, portfolio size, whatever you want to call it. So on a $1 million portfolio size, you lose 0.5%. So that's $5,000. And you lose that 5 times. That's $25,000. And when you're right, you make something like a couple percent on your account, at least. So, you make something like $20,000. And, if you do that even a couple times, you're definitely in the green, even if you've just lost, 4, 5, even 6, 7 times in a row. You take 7 $5,000 losses, and you take 2 $20,000 wins. That's a money-making ratio. So that's how the math stacks up. How can you make 2%? Well, you look for stocks that can go up, 20%. So if you put a 10% position in you get a 20% move, your portfolio as a whole goes up 2%. So pretty sure that math works. Someone can check me in the comments. But that's how it works. So biotechs, as always, not without their risk. You never know about PDUFA, PDUFA dates, phase trials, FDA oversight. So be cautious with those. RVMD is up there. Another healthcare stock that's interesting is HCA. These have really low risk opportunities with significant upside. Some of the software names have really gotten beaten down in the last few days. The move is based off of Anthropic, which is the ChatGPT, the OpenAI competitor. So OpenAI is up in the 500 billion and above valuation range. Anthropic is down in the, measly 200 billion range. They make Claude. Claude Code is the version of their models that not just consumers use, and that's turning out to be very, very good. So the more, one software developer can use Claude Code and do the work of 3 software developers, and create apps, web apps that existing software public companies become obsolete as a result of. These software names are going to get hit. But there's other companies that are going up. FTAI, or aviation company, recently went up significantly and continued. So oil names are also showing some strength. You probably can't get an entry now, but if you're in them, it's okay right now. So that was a little bit of a surprise. The thought was that the Venezuela conflict would happen and oil would pop and then not go anywhere. But SLB Schlumberger SLB is the ticker. It's unmistakable, even if my pronunciation's not good. Halliburton, ticker symbol HAL. Those are main oil names. Watch them today. You might sell them out if they start to falter, but great strength so far. As far as other opportunities, I think you still want to stay away from some of the rare earth names. USAR, stay away from the home builders, TOL, LEN. I don't think that there's much momentum there. USAR is pretty beaten down. UAMY, that's an antimony name. It's another rare earth that went on a massive run. REMX is the rare earth ETF. These names have a lot of bag holders, so as they start to move up, people are going to sell into those moves as the price of the stock moves up to their cost basis, and that will lead the stocks to sell off as a result. So more selling pressure than buying pressure, most likely. Drone names, RCAT, UMAC, not really in the conversation right now, even though AVAV did have a run recently. So similar with Archer and Joby, ACHR, JOBY, just not the daily range that makes those interesting to keep an eye on. If they do have a move up unprompted, they're probably going to pull back. So they'll give you another opportunity to get in for those electric vertical takeoff names. Solar names are on watch. I mean, NXT hanging up there. It wouldn't be the top pick, similar to the mining companies in terms of just an ambiguous position. I wouldn't want to take a position in gold or silver right now. I was talking about gold a week ago, but things change quickly. We did have significant price appreciation, aka the gold stocks goed up, so not as easy to hop in there. So we can look at the best names right now, but I think we're pretty much covering them here. I don't think there's that many. I do have my phone here, and I don't see anything really jumping out in terms of a watch list that's totally worth looking at today. Besides, Baidu is still on watch, Caterpillar, CAT is on watch, and then that QBTS also, you want to keep an eye on that. So QBTS might be the play today. Market isn't super exciting, but you never know when it's going to turn and break through all-time highs. So for that reason, you got to watch today, you got to watch tomorrow, you got to watch Monday, Tuesday. This is not really a endeavor that you pop in and take a look once a month if you want to beat the market. So for most people, that's part of the plan. They know that. They have their phone on them most of the time, if not all the time, and they can sneak a look. They can take a look at their portfolio. They take a look at their positions and rebalance, adjust, buy and sell accordingly. Once a day. This is not a full-time commitment. You can beat the market without a full-time commitment. Not everyone can. In fact, most people do not. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, but I'm trying to give you a picture of what stocks are in play right now. The semiconductor stocks that are sort of supportive, second tier, you might say, KLAC, LRCX, a little overextended. Memory stocks, a little overextended. WDC could still break out here over what's called you might call it a previous high, a left side peak, or if you're a short seller, you would call it a double top if you expect it to fail there. I think they could move above there. The great thing with this strategy, again, where you lose 70% of the time, you could say you win 30% of the time, is the wins are very, very quick. So as soon as you get up near that, what a short seller would call a double top, or a left side peak, if you're long, you might call it that, is take a position slightly before that or slightly after that at the breakout point and put in a stop. It's maybe 0.25% or 0.5% down. It could be as much as 2 and 2.5%. So if you lose 2.5% on a 10% position size of your portfolio, that's 0.25% loss of your portfolio as a whole. So it's a 100 grand portfolio, 0.25% would be $250 loss. So very manageable for most everyone. And I think a lot of these names are worth taking some of those on. I mean, maybe RGTI, IONQ are just worth watching right now, but I do think QBTS is in the conversation for best stock of the day and possibly into tomorrow. So depending on when you see this, that's the relevant stock for you, in my opinion. Caterpillar, Baidu on watch, but QBTS definitely up there. So hit that subscribe. If you're in the Discord, I will see you in there at 9:30. Put the best stock of the day. I do look at how stocks are behaving in the 30 minutes leading up to open, and I'm not necessarily going to say QBTS in there. In fact, oftentimes I say a different stock than the ones I end up talking about on the live, just because there is a little bit of an indication of how stocks are going to perform based off of opening print, opening minute, opening 5-minute volume. and price direction. Hope this helps. See you in the Discord.